In our driveway, we have some concrete, right? And this concrete looks really amazing when we have actually walked on the driveway. What I mean is that sometimes you easily find lots and lots and lots of weeds. And if we haven't been able to remove those weeds, then it does really look not so good. And this morning, as I was just walking through the driveway and looking through it and wondering, how does it really look like? And it was just surprising me to think about, somebody hasn't looked after this driveway for a little while, and that's the reason why it looks the way it looks like. And as I was trying to think about the weeds that were on the driveway and trying to kind of pick up those weeds, I started to think about life in general, and I started to think about things like food and nutrition and things like that. And I was thinking about how it can be very easy in life that you find most of the time we can start up with all good intentions. We can start up with looking after ourselves, looking after our health, looking after the things that matter to us. And then before we realize long, it's like that driveway that has been left to itself. And because it's been left to itself, after some times the weed starts to grow. It does look green, yes, but it's the green in the wrong place, because I don't want to have green like kind of weeds in a concrete driveway. And that's what made me think this morning. I was just thinking about generally in life, and I love one of the Proverbs that talks about going to a lazy man's field. You consider and you see the way it's overgrown with crap and with weeds and things like that. And I was thinking and contemplating about it, thinking like, well, this lazy man was once a hardworking person. Once upon a time, they were actually hardworking. That's why they ended up going to buy a field. You don't just buy a field by sleeping and spending time in your bed. Nope, you buy a field by working hard and being able to save enough, right? And once this lazy person has been able to save enough, has been able to buy a field, it gets to a point that complacency comes in, and they think like, well, I'm gonna wake up tomorrow to go and plow it out. I'm gonna wake up tomorrow to go and weed out. I'm gonna wake up tomorrow to go and make the fence. I'm gonna wake up tomorrow, and you and I, they say that tomorrow never comes. And so day one goes, they haven't woken up to go and look at the lawn, to mow the lawn. They haven't woken up to go and clean up the garden. They haven't gone to clean up the field. And before they realize, actually stuff has happened, and now it starts to grow some shrubs, some woodlands and things like that, trees and shrubs and herbs and things that you don't necessarily need. And the weeds come in, and once the weeds come in, it means that at the end of the day, it's no good for purpose. And then you start to feel like, what, I've left it too long. Maybe you don't have the tools and the capacity to work on it yourself. You need somebody to help you, and maybe you're not getting that somebody to help you, and the frustration comes in, and one thing leads to the other. And so I was thinking about our lives, right? When we allow weeds are those unwanted things. Weeds are those extra baggages, right? It could be extra baggages of maybe unforgiveness. Somebody has wronged you, or somebody has done stuff, or stuff has happened, and then those extra baggages become like the weed in your life. Or maybe it could be just something that you kind of just keeping on postponing, like you're telling yourself, I'm gonna go tomorrow to exercise, and tomorrow never comes. We know that. And then you say to yourself, when tomorrow comes, you'll be like, oh well, let me just eat an extra cookie. Once I've eaten an extra cookie, tomorrow I'll go out and work out. Tomorrow you don't go to work out, and then you find like, oh, it's a birthday, let me just eat an extra chocolate. It's like kind of you're allowing those weeds to start kind of in a way growing a little bit and a little bit. But then if you go and start plucking them out, you start to remove them, there wouldn't be any problems, because anyway at the end of the day you're working it out, right? You're keeping your land, you're keeping your heart, you're keeping everything. But then where the problem becomes is that most of the time we're thinking like, oh, I'm gonna do it, or I will leave it for somebody else to do it. And when you're leaving it for somebody else, some of us are leaving it to our spouses, some of us are leaving it to our family, some of us are leaving it to other people who are the ones who are responsible. But you know what? Your health is your responsibility. It's my responsibility to wake up in the morning and go for a run. I usually say health investment is the only type of investment that nobody else can do it for you. I can invest for you in the bank. I can take a bank account for my son who's only 6 today, and when he gets to 18, I can hand that back to him and say, young man, here it is your money, go and start life with it, right? That can be a possibility. But when it comes to health, even though he's my son, I can actually try to encourage him to say, oh, well, I'll cook healthy food at home, I'll do all the other healthy stuff that I need to do. But then at some point, when he gets to a given age, it will be his responsibility to know what to do and what not to do. And of course, that's the same thing with us. We are responsible for taking care of weeding out those weeds, if that's the right word, right? We are responsible for going back and back again and checking, is my land being looked after? Is my health being looked after? Is my driveway being looked after? This is the way to which people will come to my house. They'll pass my driveway for them to come into my home. How do I want them to look at my presentation? How do I want them to look at how my life looks like? How do I want them to, when they're coming to look at my life, when they're coming to look at my health, when they're coming to look at my heart, what do I want them to see? How do I want them to look at me? Am I carrying this extra baggage, these weeds, as I said? It could be unforgiveness. It could be self-hate. It could be unnecessary stress. It could be anxiety that you're not supposed to be carrying. It could be so many different things. You know it yourself, and you know those places and spaces that you might want to think like, Claire, we've got to do some work here, and nobody's gonna work it out for you. I wish my neighbor could come earlier on before the weeds were there in my lawn and then my driveway and help me to pluck them out, but my neighbor is busy looking after his own or her own house. I wish my friend could do it for me, but my friends are not here with me. Even those that are here with me, they are busy doing life. I've got to go in myself. I've got to go onto my driveway. I've got to go into my spaces, check out those things that I don't need, check out those things that don't need to be there, and start removing them and start working them out and start uprooting them and saying, well, you don't need to be here because I need to have a good, proper, well looked after driveway. Or it could be a lawn that needs to be lawned, or it could be just be decluttering. Some of us are carrying with us clutter. We're carrying with us stuff. We're carrying with us like heavy loads, and we just, maybe you want to lose off some weight, but because you're holding back on, maybe your eating habits are holding you back, or your lifestyle could be holding you back. There's so many times that I can wake up in the morning and say I'm gonna go to exercise, and opportunities present themselves my way that will want to make me not do it. I'll have excuses every single day, and when I listen to those excuses and when I give in to those excuses, what I'm actually just doing is I'm allowing those weeds to grow. And before I realize, my life will be amazed. Before I realize, I'll have all this kind of stuff around me that if I had actually gotten rid of them in the first place, it will actually have been much more easier. It will have actually been much more better. It will have actually taken me less work to be able to clear up. Going back to that proverb, it will actually be good for this lazy man to spend less time trying to clear up, rather than they've left it too late, a little bit too far to start to uproot, to start to remove, to start to do the most work. It takes more hard work to get rid of those weeds, those unwanted stuff, than if you actually keep on checking. If I constantly go out when I'm driving away and check, I'm like, this one that I started there, uproot it. I will not have to spend an hour or 2 hours of my day in the cold trying to uproot out the many other weeds. And those are the ways that sometimes we kind of, in a way, are not allowing ourselves to kind of just come back into. It might be that maybe I've added a little bit more pounds than I need to have. If I work on those little more pounds and prevent more addition, I'm actually going to have an easy work. That sometimes you say to yourself, oh well, I'm just going to eat. It's coming to that season like now we are heading towards Christmas, right? A time whereby there will be Christmas parties, there will be invitations to different things. I was just discussing with a friend not long ago. I only realized we've been booked onto 2 birthday parties on the same day. And there's all those things. And there's nothing wrong with those things. That's part of life. That's part of socializing. That's part of who we are. We are social beings. We are created to do life together. We are created for community. But it gets to a point that you have to constantly remind yourself and just remember those core things, right? Remember every time you need to make the right investments. You need to remove the weeds when you see them, the sign of it. Deal with the situation there and then, rather than leaving it to escalate or leaving it to grow and become bigger and bigger and bigger, and then you want to start dealing with it. And so that's like kind of just an encouragement. If, for example, you are somebody that is struggling with extra baggage, or the weeds are growing, like I've mentioned, weeds could be bitterness, weeds could be unforgiveness, weeds could be the hurt that somebody did for you, weeds could be that unhealthy relationship with food, weeds could be that you know it, and I know the weeds in my life, you will know the weeds in your life. I know the baggage I'm carrying, I know the clutter in my life, and I need to deal with that clutter. And just kind of an invitation to you as well, as you're thinking about those weeds, as you're thinking about those clutters, thinking about those stuff that is holding you back, that is just filling this space that it shouldn't be there, right? On your driveway shouldn't be those weeds there, in your closet, those stuff that shouldn't be there in your life, those stuffs that are just like filling this space. You might want to just kind of, in a way, deal with them one step at a time. Take off the layers, take off the hurt, take off the, somebody, you was talking to me about like an onion, isn't it? You have all those different layers, but before you get to the core, you have to begin removing one by one by one by one. It's the same thing. Get rid of that weed one by one, rather than having to spend resources and a lot of things just to think about starting to weed them out, starting to re-garden, etc. So that was just kind of something that kept my mind today as I was looking at my driveway and feeling sorry for myself and wondering, Claire, why did you leave it a little bit too long? And that's one thing I'm asking myself, and I'm asking you, why are you leaving those weeds? Why are you leaving that clutter? Why are you leaving those excuses to stay in your way and to hold you back? If you have been kind of excusing yourself going back into exercise, excusing yourself going into healthy living, right, into exercising and things like that, don't let those things hold you back, and don't let them start to grow into your space and in your place where you are supposed to be thriving. Because when you have weeds, let's face it, where the weeds compete against the good nutrients that are needed for the healthy plants, right? Weeds are those extra baggages, they're extra things that will compete, right? They will take away the nutrients, they will take away the nutrition, they will take away the things that are healthy, and they're not allowing those healthy things to grow. And these are things that actually are growing because they need to go into the bin. At the end of the day, I had to bin my weeds. I didn't take them into the house, I didn't put them anywhere else. They're going to go into composting and things like that, right? Why are you allowing those things to take this space? Why are you allowing those things to literally, the clutter, to take the place where you could actually allow love, peace, joy, patience, kindness, goodness, gentleness, those great things to grow and thrive? And when you have joy, peace, patience, kindness, all those things, it becomes natural for you to be a lovable person. It becomes natural to ooze out life. You'll have the nutrients that you need to thrive, to survive, to be a healthy you, to go to exercise. It won't be a problem because you've gotten rid of the extra clutter, you've gotten rid of the extra baggage that is unnecessary. And so I'm not telling you this because I'm made up. I'm not telling you this because I have gotten rid of my clutter, I've gotten rid of my weeds. No, I have my weeds that I need to deal with. And I was thinking, that's like, girl, you've got that. You need to deal with that. I've got clutter that I need to work on. But as I'm thinking about this, I'm thinking like, I want to go into 2024 free of clutter, free of weeds, free of those unnecessary things that I don't need. And so I'm inviting with you, be with you? Would you come along with me? Would you do some introspection and some retrospectively thinking about your life and thinking about what are the things that I've carried 11 months into 2023, stuff that has happened, things that have happened, hurts and everything. What am I carrying? Can I let them go so that I can experience some freedom, allow space to grow and to thrive with free? Till next time, I shall see you soon. And if you find this helpful, as I always say, don't forget to leave us a like. If you are able to share these or maybe subscribe, that will be amazing as it will help us to continue doing what we're doing. That was my weekend catch up. Until next time, I pray that you will continue to prosper and be in good health, even as your souls prosper. I shall see you soon, and I want you to know that you are loved, you're celebrated, and appreciated. Have a great weekend. 11th day of 11. That is 11 of 11. And I was thinking about myself saying, I'm reading Proverbs chapter 11 on the 11th day of the 11th month of 2023. It's a great day. It's a great, wonderful, amazing day. In the UK today, it's allowed itself to be sunny. That's I'm basking in some sun. It might be a little bit too much. I apologize.